Hi, everyone. Deborah Hamilton back again for the MAP Community Call, my favorite place to be every Wednesday night, because I love helping this community find new ways to live the best life with their pets. It is so important. So, to bring you up to date, I am now the Bionic Woman times two. I have a left and right new hip, and they're doing beautifully. I'm walking with a cane around the house. I do take the walker when I go outside the house because of the uneven ground. But around the house, I'm really trying to walk just with the cane. So it's been great. I've been checking in with my girls who are with Sally here, and they've been doing beautifully. Although I hear that Roxy is ruling the roost, and poor Athena has been relegated to a guest in her own house, which I know that would have happened, but it is what it is. So without further ado, let me check in with my wonderful community. And then I have about two things that I want to talk about tonight so that the people who are listening to this later on, because you can't make it live with us and share your stories, will learn something new each day, because that's what I strive to do in the MAP community. I strive to help you make a plan for your pet. And that means beyond the grave, because you might not die. You address the needs of your pet. All of our pets are different and need different things. Boy, oh boy, don't we know that, Sally, Connie, and Susan? They are all different and need special kinds of accommodation. And finding caregivers, oh my God, that's the most important thing, especially caregivers you can trust and caregivers who know each other, so that if they can't take care of your pet that day, that time, you have someone else there. And of course, making sure everything's in writing. If I have one more call in my office where people said, well, this is what we decided to do. And I said, did you put it in writing? And they said, no. And I said, oh my God, you have to put it in
So
writing.
sorry.
I know. See, Maggie's saying, put it in writing.
That's right. She's agreeing.
She's agreeing. So without further ado, let me start with you, Susan. How's everything going with Maggie? I know you were talking to Kathy, and hopefully things are getting better everywhere.
They are getting better, and I'm really surprised. I mean, it's not perfect, as you heard. She's still quite a loudmouth. I get quite a kick out of her because she can have this really high-pitched bark, and I never heard that from my male dogs, only my Maggie. But anyway, I did look up Stephanie Davis. She's the breeder from Happy Tail Cotons, and her website has gone away, but she is on Facebook. So,
And also, didn't she have someone who had one of her dogs nearby you in Virginia?
well, that was in Williamsburg, and I haven't gotten to Williamsburg yet. But yeah, so I'm hoping I will be able to connect.
Well, you can always message her on Facebook if she still has a site. You probably have her telephone number still. Hopefully it'll work.
Yeah, I have the telephone number. So, and
You
Maggie,
can tell her how good Maggie is now.
I think we have a little ways to go. I'm ordering all the stuff that Kathy recommended from Amazon, and I think she likes the licking mat the most. I mean,
Yeah.
she really goes for that.
I have to tell you, it's really interesting that we want to help our pets be their best selves, and they truly want to be their best selves. So the fact that Kathy's given you some ideas on how to help Maggie compensate for her naughty by doing things that she likes to do that are not naughty, how great is that? So I'm so glad to hear, because here at the MAP community, we don't just talk about, taking care of your dogs if something happens to you. We talk about taking care of your dogs while they're living with you, so you can live a better life with them. That's part of the program, which
So
has you live your
important.
best life. It is.
It's so important. I'm just grateful that we've made this much progress.
And I'm so grateful you come and take some of the suggestions we've made and run with them and let us know which ones work and which ones don't. It's really key. So I'm going to go to Connie. I'm going to go to Connie now, because I'd love to send some of this humidity your way, Connie. I mean, I'm telling you.
Oh, well, wait a minute. We are experiencing, excuse me, we have a snarky mommy under the desk.
Yes.
Hey.
I'd like everyone to know that those are terriers. And if you have
Yes.
those
We
sounds don't
terriers
bother
who are,
you.
they're supposed to be mild mannered, but we're asserting our maternal
Well, because
patchwork
grandma's
here.
not there anymore to keep me under wraps, so I can tell my son what to do.
Right, exactly. So at any rate, we have plenty of humidity. In fact, right to the north of us over our mountains, we have massive thunderheads building that
That's good for the fires.
yeah, but except if we have dry lightning strikes, then
Ooh,
it's
yeah,
not.
I just thought of that when I said that.
But yeah, and that's what we've been having in California. So we are entering massive wildfire season. In fact, one of my girlfriends from our obedience club and I are the chairs of our responsible dog ownership day for our club, that of course is an AKC sponsored program. And we were noodling back and forth on email this morning saying, well, September, which is the official RDOD month, is too hot here and it may be fire season. And well, October may still be hot and it still may be fire season. And let's go to November. So that's kind of where we are because as you know, California is burning.
Yeah.
And, but while I'm thinking.
And masking up again.
And masking up again, we are not nearly where we were with our COVID cases, but it's bad here in Los Angeles County, and bad in the Bay Area, and every place in between. So yes, the governor has issued a statewide mask mandate, and so is the mayor of LA, Eric Garcetti. But I thought of another D.
Okay.
And it has to do with my BFF, Bonnie, whom you know, she's on the board of the National Wheaton Club with me. She is having demolition in her kitchen. She is having her cabinets redone and then repainted. And she has 2 female Wheatons. They're young, but they're both adult. And they're going nuts. When we talk on the phone, I hear them barking at the workmen. And so she is having to, take them and day board them. So demolition is another, very definite D to add to the list, because people have home construction projects going on all the time. And
well, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know that. I know that. You couldn't possibly fathom it.
I can't fathom it. I mean, I don't believe I didn't put that on. I'm so glad you did, because of the demolition. We had to rent a house where we couldn't have dogs. So we had to find somewhere where our dogs could go. So one of our appointed caregivers now has one of our dogs, and one of the handlers has our other dog with an appointed caregiver nearby. God forbid something happen and he can't keep the dog. So these are things you really have to talk about and consider. And so Connie, last time we talked, which was 2 weeks ago, you weren't here, but we had drafted, you and I, to talk to our AKC delegates about bringing Kieran's One-Eyed Leo to our delegates to see if they would be able. I've already sent it to Carolyn McAteer, and if you could send it to the Wheaton delegate and any other delegate you know. And I think it's okay. Kieran said it was okay to send it.
Absolutely.
So that they could.
Wonderful.
Yeah, because they're meeting the end of next week. They're meeting in New York. And so they're going to be talking, the delegates are meeting and the board is meeting. They're going to be talking about Responsible Pet Owning Month of September. And if we could maybe bring that in and have that be part of it, if not this year, for consideration next year, get it on the road. I mean, that would be great, because we're so grateful that Kieran joined our group. He's not currently a pet owner, so he doesn't have to do any of the Ds. However, he's helping people with pets or contemplating pets understand what that commitment is. It's huge. So I know, Connie, that the kids are good. They're feisty, probably because it's so hot and they're not getting out.
They are staying in most of the time, and they go out to potty and they go yuck, and they're not even interested in chasing squirrels now. It's it's hot and humid and yucky. So yeah.
So great.
So they've got cabin fever.
Yeah, I think I do too. I have to say, I went to Walmart today because it is too hot here in North Carolina to walk around the block with a new hip, but you have to walk. So Jim and I took off and we went to Walmart early this morning, and we walked around Walmart. And of course, you never get out of Walmart without buying something, right?
Of course.
But we bought this lovely bed desk because I was sitting at the bar in the apartment, which was great, except for the fact that I couldn't stretch my leg out or put it up. So we found this bed table like you have at the hospital when you're at the hospital. And I can stick a bench under my leg and put it up so it doesn't swell. So I am such a happy girl. We now have
Wonderful.
another piece of accoutrement to add to the new house.
Terrific.
So Sally, tell me a little bit about the girls. They're doing well. They're settling in. I think one's settling in a little too deeply than the other one would want, but they are settling in.
No, very fortunately, we have got great weather all of a sudden and through the weekend. So as we've been confined to the house with air conditioning, all of a sudden today we can walk. And we walked out this morning and they walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and walked. I'm like, we got to get home. I have some work to do, girls. And they walked a long distance. And then at noon, they walked again. And tonight they walked. I mean, it's just the difference in like, we still have high humidity, but the temperature's low. And the difference in the personalities, the energy level is phenomenal. So
Yeah,
the
it
girls
is.
are great.
It's amazing. I'm so glad. I've heard from the handler that Junie is doing well. He's going to his first dog show in Waukesha this weekend, coming up. So we'll see how he does. I don't know what's going to happen. Um, I wanted to read the D's because I know all of you will remember a few that I can't forget. But as I said at the beginning of this recording, it might be because I am under the influence of some lovely pain medication. I went from every 4 hours to every 6 hours. Now I'm on every 8 hours. So I'm weaning myself off probably by the weekend to Advil. But it's been fun while it lasted.
Of course.
It's been fun while it lasted. So I have divorce, which we know is one. I have delay, which means that if you're on an airplane or wherever you are, you're stuck in traffic coming home and you're delayed, who's going to take care of your pet if you've left them home? You didn't intend to be late, but here you are. Dementia, no one ever pays attention to the fact that we, have had friends with dogs who have suffered with dementia. How do you have that conversation with the person who has dementia? Because there are lucid moments where they really don't want to talk to you about taking their dogs away, but the dogs are not being cared for. Or how are you going to make sure your dogs are planned for so that if something occurs for you, that you've already decided to address it? I was on a call last night with 300 of the fear-free vet techs and veterinarians and vet managers talking about conflicts in vet practices now, which are huge. And when we were talking about that, we talked about making sure that when you're, all of them said, well, what do you say to these people who are mad? How do you calm them down? And I said, you can't. I said, you have to recognize that you just have to hold a safe space for yourself. And that doesn't mean to ignore them or to walk away or to hide behind the bushes or hang up or put the phone on hold, but rather just let them run the course, stop, drop, and roll, stop talking and listen, drop the need to be right because they can't hear you, number one, and you are right. And you might be righter if you listen, so don't do that. And let what they say roll off your back, because I think now, and all of you alluded to this, I think now a lot of us are not our best selves. So if we can only take care of one person in life, let's take care of ourselves. Let's make sure we protect ourselves. We put ourselves in less conflicted situations. But if we find ourselves in conflicted situations, recognize that it's up to us to just ground ourselves. We're not going to shift it, but we can ground ourselves and not raise the temperature in the room. So that's really important. So when you have dementia, talking about it is a difficult discussion. Being able to recognize it before or plan for it before, and if you plan for it, it'll never happen. That would be great. Deployment, we had deployment where people go off to war. Not only do you have to plan for the care of your pet short term while you're away, 18 months, 2 years, but maybe long term. And putting that in writing is key. We have the loss of documents. So you have documents that you need for your pet. How do you plan for taking care of those? Those have to be in writing as well, especially if you have a co-ownership. You have to understand where those documents are and how they're going to exchange hands. You have disability, I'm right there. So here I am with hip replacement and being able to put your dog somewhere or have someone come in to take care of your dogs while you're disabled is key. You heal much faster. I have to say, everyone thought on Facebook that the dogs were with me, Sally, because I put the picture up together collage, and they said, "Oh, it's so good your dogs got to North Carolina." I'm like, "Yeah, no, they didn't, but I won't anybody. It's okay.
Mm.
I'm living vicariously. My dogs are in Connecticut, happy as clams, and I miss them, but they are safe and healthy." Disease. So if you're fighting COVID, you might lose your dogs. We talked about that when this community started, where people's dogs were being taken to animal care and control, then going to a shelter, and then being adopted out. And if you lived, you couldn't get them back, because when they're adopted out from a shelter or rescue, that is fini. There is no, let me give you their number, you can call them and get your dog back. Not happening, not unless you have something in writing. I mean, go back and listen to some of the really early MAP community recordings that are up on my website, as well as if you go to YouTube, because it is so important to understand why making a plan for your pet and putting it somewhere where people can find it easily is key. You have death. We all remember that. And everybody says, "I'm good, Deb. I have it in my will." And I always say, "I am so glad you know you're going to die." I said, because if you don't die, you're a little screwed up. And even if you do die, if you only have it in your will, it may take too long for all of the directives you have there to come to fruition to save your dogs. So you really need a plan outside your will to address it immediately, and then have your will augment it later on if you die. We have disasters. So I'm going to have a thunderstorm here really soon. So I might have, outages. Connie lives in Fireville, USA. And, wherever you are, you can have a hurricane, a flood, an earthquake. So you really need to be prepared for disasters, man-made or nature-made. Connie just pointed out something that I should have remembered as well, which is why my girls and my boys aren't with me, as well as having a disability. I'm having demolition. And really, I had a friend who had a young puppy who she was doing some demolition, some construction in her house, and somebody dropped something on a young puppy. And that puppy really was injured severely. And it was just a split second. The puppy walked by, the 2x4 fell, it hit it right in the right place, and really just injured it to a point where it really needed a long time rehabilitation. So, you brought this up, and I thought of this when you said it. Never crossed their mind to get rid of their dogs during demolition. And maybe it is very expensive to refurbish your kitchen and pay for the care of your dogs. Just make sure your dogs aren't going through the demolition. It is key. So what did I forget? Divorce, delay, dementia, deployment, document loss, disability, disease, death, disaster, demolition. I don't think I forgot anything, but I don't have 11, and I think I have 11.
I think Rose said something about digital. So
yeah, that's the document loss, the digital document loss. Yep.
Flooding.
Flooding. We have to start with a D. That's disaster.
Disaster.
No, deluge.
Deluge.
There you go.
Deluge. And you've been having that in Europe, not you, because you're not in Europe anymore, Kieran,
but Europe. Oh.
But Europe, where you left because of COVID, you're still happy away because deluges are coming.
The deluge all over Germany and Belgium, especially Belgium. It's very bad.
Yeah.
Very bad.
So I'm checking in with you now. How are things going with One-Eyed Leo? I actually connected with the artist, and I'm hoping to have a conversation with her, maybe on Why Do Pets Matter?
That would be fantastic. Yeah. I'll be seeing her tomorrow evening, actually. So, well, we're just 10 minutes down the road from each other. So, the only bit of news I have this week, well, there's an awful lot of things happening. So, and it's very busy. But I got a very strange call about 2 weeks ago from a woman in Mexico City, and the story is she used to run a radio show, and then she set up her own sort of private rescue shelter, came across the book, and she wants, we're sort of undertaking some work on doing the odd chapter as not as an audio book, but what we're going to do is the odd chapter in Spanish and English, and she's going to try and push it on the radio show as well. So that's an avenue I never even considered, but it's a strange thing.
And I should
in
probably
California, that's a huge audience.
Huge audience,
right?
Yep. And
absolutely.
I don't know if he's a member of Spencer's group, but I'll see because there's a guy in Chicago who interviews everyone and comes to all the AKC dog shows, and his name escapes me right now. But I'll do an introductory email because he has
Oh,
a radio show in Chicago and it's very well respected. So that might be something to consider as well. So
do,
yeah,
do,
radio and TV. I mean, I would look and see if there's anyone you know who is doing any TV programs with animals. So Animal Planet, any of those, just write to them and look at who you write to and say, listen, I've done this. Would you like to talk to me about it?
I will do that. I will do that.
Because Animal Planet goes all over the place. And also CBS on Saturday mornings, right, Connie? CBS on Saturday mornings has a whole animal lineup. It used to have Lucky Dog with my friend Brandon McMillan, but that's now changed to something else. But it has a huge lineup of how to be a responsible pet owner. And Caesar's coming back. Did you see that, Connie? Caesar's coming back. He's
Oh,
going to have a
please.
program as well. Yeah, it's a little different training technique than Connie and I subscribe to, but
Much different.
yeah, but as long as I guess the dogs are not relinquished, maybe that would be better. But usually, at the end of the day, people modify what Caesar says and get the best out of their dogs. That would be helpful. But so I want to add one more thing today because it was so impactful to me this afternoon. I was on the phone with my animal law committee for the New York State Bar Association, and we're writing up a brochure for pet insurance. And I'm going to take a poll here. I know, Kieran, you don't have it, but how many of you have pet insurance for your pets? Sally, you have pet insurance for your pets. And yeah, so great. So there was a lot of interesting talk, and I'm going to get more information, which I'll bring here to the MAP community. There's also a financial attorney who is part of the Animal Law Committee who said, sometimes there's a vehicle in which you can save money, like a Christmas club, that you get the money back at the end of the day, and you have to think about those tax ramifications, but you put money in, every month to build up a nest egg to take care of your pets. So I'm going to learn more about that. There is so much information out there. Each state does or does not, believe it or not, review or monitor pet insurance companies. So if you've got a pet insurance company, make sure that it is operating in an appropriate manner in your state. And the other piece that was really interesting to me, which I thought about, but really wanted to share with all of you tonight, check and see if your insurance policy is transferable. Because here we are, we're making a MAP plan, right? We're making a plan, we're addressing all the needs of our pets, we're appointing caregivers. Well, the greatest gift we can give our caregivers is the transfer of our insurance policy from us to them if something happens to them. So it is really important for all of us to check and see, I've got this insurance policy, and maybe you can find an insurance policy. If yours doesn't transfer, that's fine. At least and maybe then you start the Christmas club. Or if the dog is young enough and has no underlying issues, then you might be able to roll into one that is transferable. There are so many questions and issues to address when you're making a plan for your pet, when you're building a plan for that pet to be cared for if something happens to you, because it really is what you want for your pet. And it has so many little tentacles that it could really drive you nuts. So that's my marching orders for this week is, if you have insurance for your pets, which everybody here raised their hand, and whoever's listening, I hope you have insurance for your pet, go read the policy and make sure that it is transferable. That might not be a killer for you. That might not be something that you care if it goes forward or not, but just be aware and then make a plan to cover that expense if it doesn't go with your pet. So before I wrap up tonight, Connie, tell me exactly how you are doing with respect to obedience and matriculating with all your friends, because I know last time we spoke, the heat was so bad you stayed home from a dog show.
Well, yes, stayed home from a big specialty show, terrier specialty show in the KC of Sacramento up in Lodi, because it was 108 that whole weekend. So, and we're
Did
still
they hold the
experiencing.
show? Did they hold the show?
They held the show, and the judging was indoors, but the grooming setups were outside. And that was why, the last day of entries, I decided to pull, and we canceled our trip. But we're planning on entering the Santa Barbara Kennel Club cluster at the end of August, which should be fairly temperate.
Yeah.
But we're having trouble just getting back to our regular competition obedience classes because of COVID.
Yeah.
The park will not open up to us. The city
Really?
park where we
Even
train.
if you come with vaccination cards?
Yep. Yep. So and there's been a huge turnover in the city government of where we train, and one of the suburbs of Metro LA. And so nobody knows who we are, even though we have been, clients of the city for 20 some odd years, and the club is registered in the city. So that is an issue now too.
So frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. Things are opening up and then they shut down again. So
yeah,
that's kind of where we are. In fact, I talked with a lady who was this morning on the phone who was looking for a puppy. She had just recently lost her two 15-year-old Wheatons a year apart. And I said, the resources for training a puppy just aren't there right now. And some of the vets are reopening. My vet is open. You have to go in masked, but at least you can go in with your dog now. A lot of the vets are not. You're still in the parking lot. And in the summer in LA, that's not fun.
Nope.
So, and certainly for a small puppy going to the vet the first few times, it's very traumatic. Yeah. So those are issues we are all coping with.
I know it seems like and I think that's why the conflicts have become so over the top, because we think we're there and then only kidding. And we think we're there and then only kidding. And we think we're there and then only kidding. And some of it's due to the fact that some people have chosen not to be vaccinated. Not so much, I think, in California, but with the spike in California, I'm not sure I have the right information. I know here in North Carolina, where I'm living is probably about 50% vaccinated, 50% not, a little higher than, a little lower than New York. But it really does make you want to figure out what it would take for everyone to trust and move forward. And I have to respect people who don't trust because, they have their underlying information that they're getting and they're sticking with it. So it's a little frustrating. So
here in California, in Metro LA and LA County, we still have 4 million unvaccinated people. And even though the state overall is 70% have had at least one Fauci ouchie, still in LA County, there is a huge proportion, and these are usually people in communities of color, people who have historically been done dirty by the medical and healthcare professions.
So they're very skeptical.
And they're very wary.
Yeah, we're not.
And then there's the whole availability issue of, can they get it? And do they know how to get it? And do they have access to all the resources to even schedule appointments?
Right. I love when they have set them up after church and they said, no, you can't do that. And I said, that is the best way to do it because everybody goes to church. Everybody gets
absolutely.
To church. So, it's a, well, should we? And isn't that pressure? And I get it, but at least the people who can't make it because they work 3 jobs could make it if it was after church. So I'm going to wish you really good luck in Santa Monica, right? Or Santa Barbara?
Santa Barbara, and it's in a month.
Good, perfect. Well, we'll see you next week before that.
Oh, absolutely.
Sally, what's up for you coming up in the next few days? I know that Gordon is on the mend, which we're all happy about, and the girls are a breath of fresh air.
Girls get, don't speak too loudly. They each get a bath this coming weekend.
Uh-oh.
That's a secret. But yeah, all's good here. I mean, now that we've got the great weather, we're just like golden. So thank you.
I know, because that 11 and I still can't believe she's 11 and 10, but they are pretty feisty when it comes to no, I don't want a bath, but thank you for asking.
Yeah, and it's interesting now that, we walk together and we meet several of the same people every day. they sort of get it that I don't have to, we all thought COVID might be transmitted by our dogs
Yeah.
also, but now as time has gone by, we realize that that's not the case. And so they go up to the people, they greet the people, and that fear of barking that was there just a month ago with the
Yeah,
dogs,
with Roxy, right.
that's gone. And
Oh,
now
thank
she goes,
God.
she goes running up like, oh, here's somebody new. So it's interesting, how COVID, even in one month's time, I can see changes in the personalities.
This is so important for this community to share this, because people are getting frustrated or don't understand, and then they hear us talk about regular everyday things that really help us understand our dogs better and help us plan for our dogs, and hopefully it will help everyone have a better time with their dog. And finally, Susan, I'm going to come to you too, Kieran, but finally, Susan, so Maggie is doing better. You're really excited. She barked when we first came up, but I haven't heard a peep out of her yet. So this is really working.
It is working, and I have to train my husband too, because it's a matter of habit, and not letting her practice the undesired behaviors, and so it's
Well, that's always the hardest piece, is having them practice the desired behaviors. And I know Kathy will probably put 2 or 3 things in your basket so that you can pull them out just when your husband tries or forgets, and say, oh no, give her this instead so she doesn't bark. And he'll be like, oh, that works. We have to train everyone. It's not just a dog thing, it's a human thing. So I
it,
get it.
it
Trust me.
is.
So my
It is.
husband just said, train your husband,
Yeah.
he's a longtime trainee. So it's good. And Kieran, so you're still in Tenerife, no intention of ever, I think, going back to Ireland. And that's okay. And I'm so grateful that you're part of this community and that you've shared One-Eyed Leo with us so that we can share it with the rest of the world.
Thank you, Debbie. It's always a pleasure. I just find it strange how quickly these calls come every week, and I can't believe it was 2 weeks since the last one.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And I have a replacement part. So there you go. Yeah. And I felt so
well,
good Wednesday night. I probably could have done it, but Rose told me no. She's mean.
well, you were always a woman of many parts, so now you have it medically proven.
That's right. That's right. And feeling great. So until next Wednesday, same time, same station. I hope all of you enjoy your pets to the max. It's Deborah Hamilton, Hamilton Law and Mediation, the Why Do Pets Matter podcast, which please listen to and comment, because there are some great shows coming up. We're doing a few repeats now because we've had so much interest in Temple Grandin's and Stacy Santee that we decided, well, let's put them up again. And new ones are coming probably the beginning or the end of August. And of course, the MAAP community call, near and dear to my heart, where we all work together to help make a plan for our pets so that we navigate the journey they take when we can't care for them. So until next week, this is Deborah Hamilton. Take care.
Yeah,
Thank